I just had 3 auto declines on my applications. And people be like, oh, Dan, you're being so sensitive. Whatever do you mean? Like, you can't. That's too much. 3 positions for which I am well qualified for. Almost like handpicked. Disease state, product grouping, and each one I also had a friend working in the company in mid-level and senior positions who forwarded my information directly. One of them, I got a decline within 2 minutes. I fill out the paperwork on the website, send in my resume. 2 minutes later, thank you, no thanks. This is for an ultra rare disease state that only a handful of people in the nation have sold for. I'm one of them, CIDP. There's only a handful of people who are qualified to even say those words, even know what they mean. And so I get an auto decline. The other 2, I have, as I said before, inside people pulling for me, sending my resume directly, and I get an auto decline from HR. One of them is in the addiction space. There aren't that many people who have sold in the addiction space. I've sold on the scheduled side and on the addiction side, to help people get out of. And it's a very rare thing. Screw that, man. Screw it. And the question is really, so I've reached out to the managers and the people I've known, my friends, and I said, this is what happened. And, pretty much crickets across the board. And so now we have a position where I have no idea why I've been rejected. And I want to say it probably doesn't even matter, because none of it doesn't make any sense. Like if meritocracy is in effect, I would get a phone call or something. And I've been having these responses for well over a year. But this week was heightened because I really did the extra push. Usually I don't lean on my friends because, I find them to be, I don't want to, tire them out. Wow. Why would you decline someone like me? And the question is, no one will ever know the answer because it goes into the HR box, the dark box, and people say AI or HR, and it just disappears. And so we're left just guessing. Like, well, I guess you're not the candidate, but I am the candidate. So what's happening? Well, read between the lines. Ageism, sexism, just ism, just it's not you. And it leaves it ripe for maybe someone's paying to get, on top of the stack. I'm sure it has place somewhere. Indeed, LinkedIn, all those things. They've been lying to me for months, saying that I was, these positions are open and I'm qualified for them. I mean, I determine whether I'm qualified for them, but I think the back end is that there's a new wave of, I'm going to call it ageism, that someone just younger, it gets the position preferentially just because. And it might be that the managers are just showing preference for someone within their generation. I have no idea. But these are not entry-level positions. I get automatically shut down for entry-level positions, or I get the hem and haw from the HR screeners who really don't know what they're talking about. I mean, really? You're going to tell me about selling in the cardiovascular space and you have no experience pulling carrying the bag and dealing with cardiologists or psychiatrists or any of those people. So I'm out of my career. I mean, that's it. It's done. I have, dozens of applications that have been declined, and I thought it was just me. People have told me you need to do a new resume. How do you do a new resume with the same names, companies? I mean, my name, company, experience. I mean, how do you say successful in a different way? Productivity, team player. I mean, all this stuff, which is all true and accurate, but you can't AI your way out of it, because then they'll just change the AI protocol and you'll be back to square one. So it's very disappointing. And it's not, I mean, I thought this was my industry, but apparently it's not. It belongs to the people who make the decisions. And, you know, I was proud of the way I represented myself in the offices and the good things I did. Well, I thought the good things I did for my companies, but, you know, that was a time long gone. And it just, I don't know who's filling those slots now and how they're selling. They're probably nice folks, but there's no way that they can have the experience that I mean, there's just no way. And if they do, then I would be on par with them. Many of the people I'm referring to, I trained. Like I helped bring them up. They're wonderful people, but I helped bring them along. Like I'm the teacher, you know, like the source of information, you might say. But apparently that doesn't play anymore. And rather than sounding like the old man just complaining about sour grapes, the point is about, you know, it's supposed to be human resources, you know, for humans, but we're now having machines do these things for us, quote, machines do these things for us, but it's humans who are supposed to be the decision makers, you know, like humans who make the drugs, humans who discover how to use the drugs, humans who sell the drugs, humans who use the drugs, physician humans who prescribe the drugs, human. But there's been some part of that that's been washed out. And you can see how this will play into, if it hasn't already, into treatment algorithms that, you know, you don't want to go against what the iPad says or what the protocol says, even if you are a physician, because, you know, it's there in the computer, it must be right. And I'm sure someone's come across that. I know someone has. And, you know, this is just, this is bad. This is bad. This is like that movie Idiocracy. And we laugh about it when it comes to like fixing our cars or, you know, buying food, but we're talking about healthcare. And this is very bad, very bad. And the point is, we should know that as a country of citizens, a democracy, where the clarity of information is required to make the appropriate decision, this major component of our lives, that being medical care, is now going opaque, and has been opaque for a while, but now it's going even more opaque. And it will continue to do so under the guise of productivity or the bottom line or whatever euphemism they put on it. But it's bad because it will build up this momentum within people who don't know better that, yeah, it's better, it's more efficient, it's more productive, it's all this stuff, you know. And Dan, you're just wailing because, you know, you don't know what you're doing. You know, it's not true. It's not true. And the deficit is the physicians, the personal, to me, that I can't find a job in my industry. And the deficit will be for the physicians who don't get to experience my wonderful sales ability and differential diagnosis and all this stuff that really, I thought, brought value to the table. I know it did, actually. And, you know, common sense approach, patient-centered, will now be replaced with someone who just is going to do what they're told. And that's not good for medicine. And that's not good for physicians either. And this combines with the trend of health systems purchasing, usually investor group-based health systems, telling the physicians how to practice medicine. And the end result is that all of us will have a decline in healthcare, because healthcare is personal. And when you do a spreadsheet looking at, quote, productivity and outcomes, well, are those the outcomes that I want to have measured? Well, I decide as a patient, and my physician helps me decide what the outcomes are. And those are the outcomes. So that's supposed to be the outcomes. But this, how do you say it? This administrative, managerial, productivity only mindset is really, it's going to be the death of us. Because you can, quote, manage down to the bottom pretty quickly. And I think we're starting to get there. And the first lie is that it's better. Well, it's better if you hide what you're measuring. And that's what we're seeing with this AI and this HR relationship stuff. You know, that, you know, we had a field of applicants and we chose the best, right? Well, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. But that's just passed off, because there's no way to know. How would you dig this up in a legal process through discovery? Months, years? How would you ever determine that? And the mindset of the people who, how would you say, take advantage of this is bad. It's bad for all of us, because we are best when information is open, when skills are plain, when ability is open. And now it's being replaced with darkness and identity politics and all this stuff that doesn't lead us to a stronger nation. And people are, Dan, aren't you reading too much into this? I'm like, no, not at all. Not at all. I worked hard in my career, and now I'm going to have to branch off, and that's fine. I'm usually pretty adaptable to this, but I will lose the prestige of the time I had in the industry and helping patients, and the concept of thinking I'm helping patients, and rubbing elbows with physicians. I loved talking shop with doctors as much as I could follow along, and those are my personal thoughts on it. But I can't speak to it, I guess, other than this concept that we're all commodities is not a democratic principle. It is not. In my other videos, I've spoken about the seeds of oppression versus the seeds of freedom. And what I'm describing are the seeds of oppression. And people will be, oh, productivity is not oppressive. Yeah, it is. It's oppressive if that's productivity over people. And that's what I'm talking about, is that it should be people over productivity. And the people are more productive than simply being productive. And that, quote, market forces is a euphemism for cutting corners and acing people out of things. And it's not going to go well. That's not going to go well. And it's always under the guise of, well, as I've said before, productivity or some kind of managerial term. And that's why I have such distrust of these business terms, which are really euphemisms for something else. And it's bad news. It's bad news. And I know that, all 300 of my viewers or whoever will probably roll their eyes. They probably already know this already. But the point is that now we are a nation of followers rather than a nation of leaders. And it's going to be bad when they clash, because there's going to be so much misinformation and misunderstanding between the two. Well, I mean, you have someone who's talking about treating people, and then you have whole healthcare hospital systems making billions of bazillions of dollars on the other side, and administrative staff and all this just pushing down on this whole concept. It is bad. It's bad. I mean, it was when I first started, there were groups of physicians and individuals who seemed to be doing quite well, but they got purchased or pushed out or shown the door. And those guys who got shown the door were the people that I would call my physician. I would. That's the kind of guy I want to be my doctor. I don't want the bot who's fresh out of med school who will just do what he's told because he's a bazillion dollars in debt, or he just wants to join the healthcare system and have be a physician, salaried physician, rather than a someone who's seeking the best for his patients. Or their patients, his or her patients. And it's bad. It's bad. I think one of the fixes is cash-based. You just have a physician and you have a flat fee office fee, and no managed care, no insurance involved, just you and the physician and you and the pharmacist. I think it's really the best, where the patient is the customer and the patient is the determiner. It's going to be the best. And of course, it's going to be expensive for a lot of folks. But I think a lot of folks have turned that corner, boutique, concierge medicine, etc. But right now, the average retiree can't afford that. And, it's messed up. It's messed up. As soon as you get more fingers in your business, the more messed up it gets. Just like the HR protocol. Like if I send my resume in to, the email, and then it goes to the portal, and then, it goes to the portal, and then I get the email. I have no idea how many people saw it or didn't see it, or if anyone saw it. And the same with your healthcare. Like, do you know where your healthcare records are? Well, they're on a secure server, etc. Yeah, right, sure. How many people have a decision to play in your healthcare, whether it's approved or unapproved, whether it's encouraged or discouraged? And the more people are involved that you don't have power over, then you are at a disadvantage. And I think it needs to be spoken that plainly so that people can just start thinking about it plainly, because it wasn't that long ago that healthcare was relatively affordable and relatively accessible, and it didn't require, life-changing financial outcomes. It wasn't that big a deal. And things got messy when there were more fingers in the pie. And hey, that's my pie. So anyway, I don't know what else to say other than it's messy, but it gives me focus. So now I'm not going to apply for those jobs. I'm not going to get them. I'm just not going to get them. It's like I've wasted so much time and so many applications on this lie. LinkedIn is like this crazy, stupid, it's like going to a casino. I know I'm going to waste my time, and I know I'm going to waste my money. I might get a win, but the odds are it's just going to be more. I'm putting more coins in the one-armed bandit, and I'm not doing it anymore. It's just a mess. Colleagues of mine, reach out or don't reach out to LinkedIn, and it's just a mess. We have too many people between us. I like cell phones because it's like me and Bob, me and Sarah, just direct, the way it should be. But these whole systems that get in the way, and they tamp down people's desire to speak directly to one another. Like I'll send a message on LinkedIn, and I have to beg former colleagues to call me back or to talk to me at all. It's so weird. And part of that is because everyone's involved in that system. It wasn't so long ago I talked to an HR screener about how LinkedIn was so messed up, and they were offended. Oh, I spent all my time on LinkedIn. I was like, yeah, well, that's probably the problem. That's probably the problem. She's probably clueless to this day. It's an alternate universe with its own rules and regulations, and it's not better. Because it aces people like me out, and people who've actually done it, and aren't faking it. So, all right, I think I've said my piece, even though there's more. Live free.